Hey gang, welcome back again to Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, where the proof is in the singing. I'm continuing a series on doing isolated vocal tracks where I do a vocal tutorial and a vocal analysis to show you how these great singers got into these great places for singing. So before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe to my channel. That'd be really cool. I have a singing course. The course is called How to Sing Better Than Anyone Else. You can find it right here at KenTamplinVocalAcademy.com. I also have a free singing forum over there, you guys. If you want to learn about singing, if you're an intermediate singer, if you're an advanced singer, go over there, check it out. It's free. Post videos, ask questions, particularly related to my course, and you'll get a lot of really great help, okay? With that said, it is Whitney Houston, I Will Always Love You. I want to just dive right in and talk about it. Now, these stems come to me in different conditions, or we find them in different conditions, whatever. This sounds like a vocal extraction, and I've tried not to use those because they get a little sloshy and a little phasey. And whoever did this one did a really good job, so the quality is enough to where I can use it. So let's just dive in. Here we go.
If I should stay, I would only be in your way.
Now, I think it's interesting that we're literally embarking on probably one of the most used songs as a bar setting song for a lot of the, the TV shows, singing TV shows and whatnot throughout the last 20 some odd years, okay? So with veneration, I'm going at this, and I really want to be really careful about everything I say because, again, this is the bar was set so high for this song. Anyone that could sing the song and do a good job, chances are they got the buzzer. You know what I mean? So coming right out of the gate, if you hear how finesseful she is in her approach, again, they used a fair amount of warm, dark reverb on the sound with a very short delay. So it doesn't sound like there's a lot of reverb, but there's a fair amount of reverb on there. And I want to listen to her approach to singing. So let's really dissect her vowel structures, the volume that the velocity she comes in and out for singing and so forth. Check it out.
Okay,
right there. If I... Right, she goes, really pulls it back. It's real sexy on the sound. Now, I did do a version of this. I did two versions, actually. One I did a long time ago with a Korean artist of ours. But I did one with Sara Loera, and I'm going to put that in the description just so you can see how Sara did. She did a great job on this. There's only one Whitney. We know that. We're not claiming to be as awesome as Whitney, but we're going to try to at least pull out some of these things to dissect it and put a microscope to it and just take a look and see how we can attain some level of this success or achieve some level. Here we go.
If I should stay.
Now, from a vowel standpoint, she didn't go She uses AE, like the number 8. If I, right? So it's not I. There's no diphthong in I. It's like lead. If I, more I, right? She's not going I, right? It'd be weird. Now, a lot of times people sing and they go, gosh, I just sound so stiff and it's just so sterile and I don't sound like I have cool swag or soul. Why is it? A lot of times it's because we try to sing like we speak, if you know what I mean. And we don't want to sing like we speak. We want to have enough swag and enough sex in the sound. And I don't mean sex in a promiscuous sense. I mean sex like as in it being soulful, you know what I mean? Have some soul in the sound to where we're not over accentuating all the words. So we really want to be careful of that and just not do it, right? Now in some theater cases where they want the last person in the row to understand what you're saying, I get it. That's a lot of theater teaches that. But who wants to go, if I wouldn't stay, I would only be in your way, right? No one wants to hear that. So let's soften it up with a little soul, okay?
If I should stay.
I love should stay, right? She has all this swag back and forth in the volume way she treats this.
Should stay, I would only be in your way.
Now, I would only be in your way. Right? I love her vibrato. It's so sweet, so gentle, so pure, so honest, and it's just so natural sounding. So if you're going to work on your vibrato, get it a little closer to Whitney's, man. Way. Mine's a little slower. I could speed it up. Way. Right? To match hers, but it's just really her natural vibrato, and it sounds really great.
I would only be in your way, so I'll go.
Now she adds all these little inflections. So I'll go. And if you're not careful and you just listen to it kind of square, right? So I'll go is all you'd get out of it. She goes, so I'll go, right? She adds all these little things at the end, little trail offs and little riffs and runs and stuff that really makes for a mature sound, and it just gives a lot of personality.
So I'll go, but I know I'll think of you every step of.
Now, think of that. And I'll think of you every step of. So there's no like meter to this. It's not, so I'll think of you every step of. She goes, so I'll think of you every step of. It's like someone that's talking to you. They don't talk in a rhythm or a meter necessarily. They're talking from their heart. So that's where soul comes in. It's not about a lick or a run or whatever. It's soulful because they're speaking to you in their song and the way they would to share that. So I'll come to you every step of the way. You know what I mean? Right? Every step of the way. She doesn't do that at all, which separates her from the pack. That's why she was called the Queen of Soul, whereas Mariah and others, she was called Songbird. And, you know, you've got Christina Aguilera and some of these other people, you know, Ariana Grande and all these other people running around. Demi Lovato is a little different. She has a lot of passion in her singing in a different kind of way for female vocalists, soul singers. But Aretha was, you know, like Whitney and Aretha are like two peas in a pod when it comes to this. But you can really hear it's just a real natural way to just be spontaneous in the way she presents her art.
I'll think of you every step of the way.
Love that trail off.
And
Now, if you listen really closely, and this is splitting hairs, but if you listen really, really closely, she doesn't have total command of the way she comes into it. Or let me say this another way. She's more concerned with being emotional on the way she's singing the next line than being technically perfect. Because you can hear the throat collapse a little bit in the sound. Listen closely to this. Check this out. It's a trip because if I never had these isolated vocals, I don't think I ever would have really noticed this in the track because I wouldn't be sitting there, you know, scrutinizing it in such the same kind of way. But listen closely.
And
just before the vibrato kicked in, it's almost like she had to kickstart her vibrato. And right? So she's not being super technical. Now, if you hear somebody like Lara Fabian or somebody, they're like even more technical in their approach. Of course, she has more of an operatic approach than Whitney, but you can really hear that they have command of every minutia detail of their voice, whereas Whitney's kind of letting some stuff slide just a little bit. Now she's adding all the air, and that makes it a little harder to go back and forth. Right? To be able to have total command of every little minutia, every detail, right?
And
has a little chirp in there, a tiny little bit before the vibrato starts. I know, again, guys, this is really picky uni, and I'm really splitting hairs, but I thought it'd be kind of interesting to note that someone at this league, at this caliber, who's this awesome, still has to work at it, and still is human, which means We're human, and we can attain to this level of singing if we really apply ourselves, okay? Maybe not as great as Whitney. There's only one Whitney. You can be you, but you can still apply yourself to some variation, some degree, some shade of this greatness. By the way, you can hear a cut there. Listen closely. You can hear the difference in the volume of the mic and the distance and the breath and how she approaches it. So you can hear that was an edit, or they cut her in, and they punched her in there. Check it out. Now, if you hear the end of the right, someone cut off the breath, probably because you would have heard it when they went for the punch. Listen closely. I know I'm picking through this stuff, but it's pretty interesting to me. It is anyway. Whoops. Here we go.
And I will always love you.
Now, let's talk about her vowels. She goes, and ah. She doesn't go, and I. She goes, and I. And I will always love you. Right? Let's talk about that vowel structure. Let's pretend for a minute that I'm not going to add any consonants at all. So you only hear how the placement or the shape of the vowels are. Right? There is so little change in the way she moves and shifts from vowel to vowel. Now, I cover this extensively in my singing course because it's really important to understand how she's able to pull this off with such accurate pitch, intonation, tone, vibrato, volumes changes, and all this stuff. It's because of the way she shapes her vocal tract, which is a fancy word for throat. And I teach this with you guys so we actually build muscle memory in the throat in order to be able to maintain the integrity of these vowels. And all of these vowels stem from the ah. And it's a slight variation from the ah vowel that she's using the ah as the anchor by which she sings all other vowels. Check it out.
Will always love you.
I will always love you. I will always. You can hardly even tell I'm changing the vowels. I am. It's very subtle. And the mistake a lot of people make is they go, I will always love you. Right? They shift so much in the vowel that it's a lot of work. It's very difficult to go from one vowel to another and have stability in the throat for intonation and a lot of the other things we want. So this is the pristine ultimate way to get to this kind of perfection. It's the only way.
Will always love you. Will always love you.
She loves that. She loves that kind of toggle back and forth between those notes.
My darling, you. Bittersweet.
Now, by the way, you'd think it's just bittersweet. She goes, bittersweet. She adds that little extra, axial circumflex or, toggle at the top, right? The little swag, the swoosh signal, so to speak, on all of her little notes as she goes over to give her signature of who she is as a singer. It's really cool.
Sweet memories. That is all I'm taking with me. So goodbye. Please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need.
Now, at the end of this phrase, I just heard it, she goes a little flat, but you wouldn't even notice it because she's so accurate on so much stuff and it's in a track, but she goes just a tiny bit flat, but she doesn't care because she's so perfect in everything she's doing. It's, yeah, I'm in there. You know, I don't want to mess with the energy and have to cut in here and there if I'm going to screw with the continuity and energy and the you know, the way it connects together, glues together. Listen closely though. Check it out.
Me, so goodbye. Please don't cry. We both know
Right here.
I'm not what you need. And
Need. At the very end of that, did you hear that? Check it out.
I'm not what you need. And I will always love you.
Cool. Now, if you notice, when she drops the hammer down on her vibrato, it slows down. So she's got like two different natural ways that she approaches her vibrato. When she's singing kind of riffy, a little more riffy and a little more bluesy, her vibrato is quicker. When she drops the hammer down after holding a whole tone for a long time, it's wider, you know, longer in its, if you were to look at a heart monitor and it's here's a flat line, it'd be like this rather than like this, okay? That's the way it would look on a heart monitor. So listen closely and listen to her unbelievably accurate pitch as she's going through this. Now, this is way before anybody was using auto-tune and stuff, and this is what we teach here at Ken Tamplin Vocal Academy, is to get to this kind of accuracy with your voice. Says, come on, guys, you don't want a machine singing for you. I'll fix a note or two, fine, I get it, but don't have a machine make you sound perfect. It just sounds so synthetic and it takes away the heart and soul of everything. And I'm not going to get on a rant about auto-tune, but it's just learn how to sing, okay? All right, let's check this out. Check it out. You know how perfect that is? And flawlessly perfect. Her, not me. Or maybe a little both. I don't know. I don't know. I learned this too. So I try to be really perfect on my vibrato or my whole tones and my pitch as well. And by the way, that yodel is deliberate. Right? She does that yodel as an effect. A lot of people do it because they can't connect the passaggio between chest and head. She absolutely can. She's the mix monster master. I mean, she's just like, her mixed voice is off the charts. Great. So it's for effect. By the way, something else. Okay, so we talk a lot about the breath, right? Take the breath, breathe in. Hey, 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 you know, and holding notes, learning how to compress air and all that stuff. And I have several videos out, but I cover this extensively in my singing course, that when we take a diaphragmatic breath, and this is very, very important for my singing friends out there, is there's different ways to take the breath. It's always from the abdomen. Right? So you have all the strength in the abdomen. So for long whole tone legato phrases, we take a big breath before we get there because we know we're going to need a lot of air to finish the phrase. But we also need to know, instead of going and taking in this big glut of air, the lungs are halfway full. Remember, we talked about this. If you guys don't know this, go back to my free tutorials on diaphragmatic support. Sometimes we don't get the luxury of taking that big breath. So we've got to take a quick hit of air and know that we've taken enough air to finish the next phrase, and listen to her, how quickly she takes the breath in between the phrase. It's awesome. Listen closely, it's really cool, man. Yeah. Right now, Let's talk about, by the way, you can hear the little sloshy sound, the out of phasey sound. So that's how you know that this was someone did a vocal extraction, but they did a really good job. So it's a really usable audio stem. So anyway, on the ah vowel, as we ascend and descend, that vowel shape changes, and it depends on your vocal foc or vocal type, where that happens in the range of your voice. So, meaning in the note values of your your specific range or your personal registration. So she goes, yeah. She doesn't go, ah, right? She takes the ah vowel, yeah. Right? And she definitely knows how to correctly place that vowel modification as she goes up and she comes down. Listen to it again, real close. And for those of you doing my course, you know exactly what I'm talking about, because we talk about how to modify these vowels so we can stay safe in the throat to create release valves or safety valves so we can get a pure tone, a big warm round tone without sounding like we're pinching and squeezing, or we're not, so that we don't pinch and squeeze in the throat and we have total command and control of the vowel. Okay, let's continue. See, I'm not sure where this next part comes in. Well, it's way up here.
I hope life treats you kind, and I hope.
Now, she changes her laryngeal position. What is that? The larynx. For guys, it's your voice box, and you can see this up. But she'll use a raised laryngeal position, and I've talked a lot of people that do this. Rihanna does it, other people do it, where you and she'll do it for effect for a minute, but she won't hang in it because it's kind of an annoying thing. Right? But she'll raise it, and then she'll neutralize it, and then she'll lower it, and she'll go back and forth, and she'll go up and down with these different laryngeal positions. This is also really cool because it's really hard to get and maintain good intonation and pitch when we do this. But if you listen closely, she's doing it. Check it out. Oops, here we go. I'm back a little far.
I hope
Right here.
life treats you kind,
Right here. Sorry.
and I hope.
And I hope. She could have gone, and I hope. But she goes, and I hope. Right? Listen to it again. Check it out.
Life treats you kind, and I hope you have all you dreamed of.
She even does it. Right? She kind of does it there too, because it's kind of sexy. It gives a different tonal quality to the vowel, which is cool. But you better know how to get back and drop that larynx into a neutral position and maintain good intonation, good pitch in the process, or it's going to sound really funky.
And I hope you have all you dreamed of, and I wish you joy.
Now, did you notice she didn't go, joy, oi, and I wish you joy. She goes, ja, like love. We talk about this. So where she's belting at this part, so she's in a call register. So she's not in a mixed voice, which would have given her the ability to close the vowel down more and be a little smoother on the vowel. She goes, and I wish you joy. I love joy. Listen closely.
I hope you have all you dreamed of, and I wish you joy. And
Joy! Right? And at the very end, she kind of gives us a diphthong of joy. Yeah. And she puts in the Y of joy, making you think you heard the word joy, when in fact she was using open throat technique and staying long in the vowel. I cover this in my course too, gang.
And I wish you joy and happiness.
Happiness. Back to that raised laryngeal position.
And happiness. But above all this, I wish you love.
Cool stuff, man. Here comes the key change.
And
She's just sticking that vowel, man. And I mean, the intonation is off the charts. It almost sounds like auto-tune. It's that good, but you can hear that it's not, because you can hear there's something called harmonic resonance, and it especially shows up with distortion. But in a round vowel that's placed before it gets to vibrato, you can actually hear a coloration in the sound that changes ever so slightly. It kind of reminds me of, like, you know, the Northern Lights or something, where you have this beautiful lights and they kind of change all this color. And if I could describe that in the way of how this harmonic resonance changes in the sound of a voice, it's kind of similar. So listen closely again, check it out. Here we go, whoops. Did you hear how long the breath was on that? Let's do it together. I'll try to do it with her. Here we go. Did you hear how long that was? Check it out again. Right? It's just, holy cow, man. I mean, this to me is the quintessential example of almost perfect, or maybe perfect singing. And we don't necessarily want it to be too perfect, because then it'll lose its character. But holy cow. Now we can really see with these naked vocals, or isolated vocal tracks, why Whitney Houston deserves the recognition and the legendary status she does, and why this song was so high of a bar to set for other singers to come in for all these TV shows, or just practice on your own. Practice this stuff and get real good, man. By the way, that artifact stuff you hear in the background is the vocal extraction, so don't let that think it's alien voices. It's actually, it's the machine trying to find just the track and get rid of the instrumental part of the track so that you can hear only the isolated vocal. So as good as the track is, there's still those anomalies in it. So. Now, notice at the end, she kind of loses it a little bit. I don't know, loses the right word, but she kind of loses control a little bit of the vibrato and the volume, which is okay. It's at the end of the song, and I'm sure that she wanted to maintain, again, the integrity of the contiguous phrase of the singing, the energy of the singing. But listen closely to the end of this. It's not quite as perfect as she could make it. She could have gone back and done it. She chose not to. Check it out. See, it kind of look up. Check it out. Kind of lost it a little bit. I will always love you. So beautiful. Gosh, that's so good. Gang, if you want to use a template by which you want to get great at this kind of singing, long whole phrase, whole tone singing, I couldn't recommend this more. I couldn't recommend getting just this solo vocal and trying to practice, especially you ladies out there, for you altos and whatnot. getting this track and using this as your litmus test on how you're doing with holding your whole phrases in your vibrato control and pitch. Anyway, gang, don't forget to check out Sara's version. It's in the description. And also check out my next video.